Destiny and dragons, and maybe some dungeons, collide throughout the course of a 5-book fantasy series written by a prior Right Way guest host. I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and this is the final interview of the Author Awareness April Marathon. Welcome back to The Right Way, where we talk book recs, author interviews, and creative writing tips. I'm excited to reintroduce you to Paul D. Smith and catch up with what he's been working on. But before I do, here are a couple of important dates for you to know. First up, next Saturday, May 3rd, is Free Comic Book Day. Many comic book vendors across the country participate in this annual event. This year is no different. I'll be down at my local shop, DJ's Collectibles, signing and selling copies of my books. There will be other local vendors and writers there, as well as the local chapter of the 501st Vader's Fist cosplay group. The event is free. Second, the week after that is May 10th, and that's going to be the May episode featuring all new content for Top 10s, Creators Corner, and Author Awareness. Last, but certainly not least, I have a new writing workshop at the Hanford branch of the Kings County Library. I'll be down there from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Saturday, May 17th. The May workshop will focus on writing stories in the mystery and detective noir genres. All right, let's get into this. So I first met Paul through Instagram and Twitter several years ago. He was actually one of the authors that I interviewed for the first marathon that I did when it was still being based in the month of August. Just 2 months ago, he came back on as a guest host to provide us with his top 10 book recommendations as well as some creative writing tips. And he is back again to close out this year's interview marathon. So please join me in welcoming Paul D. Smith. All right, Paul, welcome back to the show. It is great to have you. How you doing?
I am great, and thank you for having me back, Garrett. Love being a part of this, so I really appreciate it.
Great. It's good to have you back. So what have you been working on lately?
Great question. So my Jason of the Draconauts series, which is a middle grade YA contemporary fantasy, finished up the last book of that before COVID hit, so that puts a little bit of time frame on that. But just recently, in a very unexpected and happy turn of events, the first book has been picked up by a traditional publisher. So it has been re-released as a second edition. Did another editing pass on it. It has a brand new cover, and all that great stuff has just happened. So that's new. And then working on a couple other side things as well. But the re-release of Jason and the Draconauts was a big one that's just happened recently.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
You know, it's funny to say that because after the last Jason book came out, I started something new. And, COVID did all kinds of stuff to us, right? It affected us all different ways. So that one went on a hiatus. But interestingly enough, and in an unexpected turn of events, I started playing D&D again and really got involved with doing some work with kids at our local level here, teaching them how to play, doing some DM classes. So, one of the things that the kids kind of, what's the word I want? They kind of made me well aware of is that it can be an expensive hobby to get into.
Yeah.
And I remember probably, when a lot of us listening were kids, we could go to the hobby store, we could get a D&D adventure for $5 or $6. And so that just rekindled in me, you know what? I want to write some D&D adventures for new DMs, new players that are really easy price point, really easy to use. So yeah, I've written 2 of those since the last Jason book came out, and they are on Amazon. I self-published those.
That's cool. And how do you get around? Is it part of like the Creator Commons type of thing? Because I know that Hasbro has owned some stuff with regards to Dungeons and Dragons. I'm curious how you got around any trademark issues.
Yeah, great question. So they have something called an open gaming license, which is, it's a pretty specific set of rules you have to follow if you want to write an adventure in the D&D universe. Really making it simple, you can't use certain monsters, you can't use certain environments, you can't even reference the three core rule books in the adventure. But as long as you follow the open gaming license, you can publish something under what they call 5e compatible.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't know if you heard a couple of years ago, well, maybe just a year ago, there was a big controversy with the open gaming license that
Yeah,
Hasbro was looking to, yeah. So
yeah.
it actually made me stop.
They were trying to end it.
Yeah, yep. So it made me stop until that all got resolved. Unfortunately, they listened to the outcry from the fan base, so I was able to pick it up and keep going with that. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool, man. What format is it available? Is it available on just paperback, or do you have it available for Kindle as well?
So right now it's just paperback. Yeah, because it's weird. Just the way that they lay out D&D adventures, I felt it probably would lend toward actually having a physical copy. Probably would be the best. And to be honest, look at my hair. I'm kind of old school. I like having that paper copy in my hands. So that's where it is right now. It's just paperback format.
So since the last time we talked, because I mean, the last time we talked, I think was, gosh, 6 years ago, 2018, 2019, something like
Yeah.
that. What's been one of the biggest challenges that you've encountered since the last time you were on the show?
Well, with writing, it was that, like I mentioned before, it was that, that kind of post-COVID or even during COVID, it affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways. For me, it was, I'm kind of more of an extrovert naturally, and the move to working from home and kind of being isolated
Hmm.
a lot more than I used to be really kind of killed my creativity.
Yeah.
I just the ideas weren't there. And with having the last Jason book come out and then COVID hitting, there was just no way to get that out there to people, especially since it was self-published. And you kind of get that, what's the point of doing this? Nobody's gonna read it. I can't get out there and show it to people. And so, yeah, and actually, thankfully, it was some of these work I've done with some of the kids that kind of re-inspired my creativity. I'm even thinking about going back to the new novel series I started after the Jason one ended and saying, okay, maybe it's time to pick this up again. You know, taking some time after a few years, maybe rereading it, seeing what I like, what I don't like, and then maybe getting back to work on that. Although I do have a third D&D adventure in my head that I want to get on paper before I do that.
Paul, what advice would you give to other would-be authors who are watching this interview and wondering what they can do to work through whatever issues they're facing?
Great question. So first of all, you got to make sure that, frankly, your mental health is good. You know, because if you're not feeling yourself for whatever reason, it's really going to affect your ability to write, and understandably so. Shouldn't feel ashamed for that. So get whatever help you need to kind of you know rekindle your love for writing.
Mhm.
My second piece is feed your creativity. If you like a certain genre or whatever that may be, watch a movie, watch a TV series, read some more books in that genre. So feed your creative side. And then finally, and this sounds like a real simple thing, but it's not, is, if you're going to start writing, write something and then finish it. Even if it's only a short story, even if it's only 2,000 words or 3,000 words, there is a sense of accomplishment and a sense of empowerment that you feel when you've started a story and you finished a story. So a lot of aspiring authors that say, oh, well, I have this that I started, but I never finished it. Oh, and then I have this that I started. And I would take a step back and say, let me finish one of those things, even if it's a short story, because that is a sense of accomplishment. And I would really encourage somebody to do that.
How can people connect with you, and how can they get a hold of copies of your work?
So Jason and the Draconauts is on Amazon, and I would really encourage you to go order one from Amazon. I do have a little on my website, which is pauldsmithauthor.com. If you want a signed copy, you can go through there and order one that way. But I think for me right now, the way publishers work and the way the Amazon algorithm works, if you want one, go on Amazon, order one from there. And my 2 D&D modules are on Amazon as well, so you can get those there too.
That's awesome. And what about how they can connect with you? Is everything done through your website, or is there a specific social media platform that you like to use?
Sure. So I'm on Facebook. Again, my Facebook page is Paul D. Smith, author. I have Instagram and X. I almost said Twitter, but it's in my mind, it's still Twitter, which is at Paul D. Smith 4321. Or I would have no problem if you want to shoot me an email, which is again pauldsmithauthor@gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, Paul, it has been a pleasure to have you back on the show. Thank you for joining me once again.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best with your writing, and I would love to hear from people watching the show.
A big thank you to Paul for helping me close out Author Awareness April in a mighty big way. Now, if you're interested in connecting with him through social media or picking up copies of his series, you can find those links down in the video description. If you're interested in watching the unedited version of this conversation, then I would ask you to consider becoming a channel supporter on Patreon. On Patreon, you will have access to all of the uncut, unedited interviews from day one for as little as $1 per month. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and click the bell for notifications on new videos. I'll be back in 2 weeks for the May episode. Until then, I've been Garrett. Keep on writing.